Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Justified, Season 6, Episode 6, Alive Day. And this episode, again, another amazing episode. Probably the best episode of the season, I have to say. A lot of crazy stuff happened in this episode. We had two deaths. None of them were too big, but we did have two deaths in this episode, which were kind of surprising, honestly. But the cliffhanger of this episode, oh my god, it's about to go down, and I can't wait. And plus, we're approaching the second half of the season, so let's just get to this episode because it was crazy. So Boyd gets to Ava's, then sees the car outside. He heads inside and greets Raylan, who says he has some questions for Boyd. Probably the worst person he could have run into probably was Raylan. And he tells him he better tell him the truth, but Boyd says he's glad Raylan is there on business and not to see Ava. But of course, as he doesn't know, Raylan and Ava kissed last week. So he asks how long their guest has been there and why she didn't offer everyone a drink. And Raylan says he wants to know about Dewey Crow, and he says he was supposed to meet up with him to talk about Mexico. But Boyd asks Raylan why Raylan isn't in Florida with his transfer, because the last time he met with Raylan, Raylan said that he was going to Florida. So Boyd's really kind of like confused now because he was thinking that Raylan was going to go to Florida and he didn't. So Boyd has there's something there he's having a hard time letting go of, and Raylan says he could let it go if he felt like things were in good hands. But Boyd says he last saw Dewey on the way to the pizza parlor, and Raylan asks if going at Avery is his best bet, and Boyd says he won't find Dewey in Ava's kitchen, and Raylan says he's not taking care of Boyd's business for him, and Boyd says he wants to protect Harlan for them and anyone that they bring into this world. So Boyd invites him to stay for dinner, but Ava's not having it, and probably because it's really awkward between the two of them. She says she won't cook, and Raylan tells Boyd see ya and tips his hat at Ava, and yeah, so that was a pretty good way to start the episode. So Ty looks at Calhoun. Calhoun is dead. They said he wasn't, but apparently he is. And Seabass asks where Markham is and if he's going to tell him. And basically, Ty wonders how many of the three of them have killed. And Choo-Choo says that sniper guy said he killed 255. And Seabass says they should just dump Calhoun in the woods since there's no blood. And Ty asks what else will bite them. And Choo-Choo says the girl. And Walker asks who. And Seabass says Calhoun's whore. And Ty says to call on Calhoun's phone, meaning Caprice, and meet her and take care of her. And Seabass complains about having to carry Choo-Choo's dumbass and says he'll do the girl since it's his screw-up. And that leaves Seabass and Ty to dump Calhoun's heavy ass. And next day, Ava sits and smokes when a truck pulls up, and it's Zachariah, who, I didn't mention this last week, but Zachariah is actually Ava's uncle, who is kind of who has something against the Crowders because of what happened with her abusive husband that she killed. So basically, it's a really good reunion. Definitely really enjoyed seeing these two reunite. And he says he's looking at her, reminds of her when she was a skinny little girl following him around. And Ava comes down and gives him a hug. He hugs her back. He says her dad didn't die because the light in his lamp went out, but because he was stuck down in the mine a week before they could get him. So Ava says she had nightmares about what it must have been like down there in the dark for him. And Zachariah says he likely died in the collapse and didn't suffer. And she says he doesn't have to lie to her. He says her dad would have warned her off marrying Bowman, and she says nothing would have kept her from him because she didn't know he had a demon in him. And Zachariah asks about Boyd, and she says he has no demon. He says he's a Crowder, and is only working for him because he has bills to pay. So Boyd says Earl's in the guest room and on call to protect her. I have to say, Earl and Ava had a lot of chemistry in this episode. I don't know if they're trying to set up something between those two, but if they are, they have a lot of chemistry going, and I can definitely see those two getting together. That's just me personally. I just feel like they have a lot of chemistry going on. I don't know about you guys, but that's just how I feel about this. I definitely feel like there is something going on between the two of them. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like they want them together because I kind of like them together. Not that I don't want Boyd and Ava together, but it just seems like she likes him. So basically, we see, where was I? Okay, so Earl thanks her for the hospitality, and Ava asks to talk to Boyd a moment before he and Zachariah leave, and she asks him if it's a good idea hiring her uncle, and he says he's aware of her eccentricities, but it needs his expertise, and they head out, and Catherine sees a giant ring in a box, and she curses, and this is a really good scene. Avery asks if she has anything else to say. She asks him to close the box. He says people get married. She says it's not what we do. She doesn't want to get married. She's just not really into that. especially because, Avery's in risk of dying and everything. She doesn't want to marry him. And he says they can change that. Catherine says they've both been married him multiple times, and Hershey would suggest they're not good at it. He says none of his marriages were to her. She says he's full of shit, and you really do feel bad for Catherine because, she's been married multiple times, and she doesn't really want to be married to Avery, so he kisses her. Avery says he didn't come back just to get into the weed business. He tells her to think about it and offers her a glass of champagne, and she promises to think about it. So Avery says there's one other thing. He says she needs to come clean about Grady because he doesn't really know the whole situation with Grady. So she tells him point blank that she cheated on Grady, but he should know that since she was cheating on him with him, and he says he's talking about her snitching on him and knows why she did it. And he says he left because he thought he was next, and she asks if he thought that's why he would want to marry her. And he says he made peace with it, and the past is the past. She says she didn't do it. He says if she marries him, she'll never have to cause to worry another day in her life. And then we meet new characters of Detective Hughes, who Tim, Raylan, and him and others are out in the woods checking out Calhoun's body. They tell Raylan they found his card in his pocket, and they tell Raylan that he was punched to death from a single hit. I still find that hilarious that Choo-Choo punched him once and he just died. I mean, Choo-Choo said that's why his name is Choo-Choo. So the detective says it looks like he was hit by a car, and Raylan looks at Tim and says it was likely a train. And Raylan says Calhoun is his realtor when they ask why he had his card. And Tim and Raylan go see Avery, and he asks if he's there to let him buy his land. And Tim says they're there about a murder. And Avery sends the bartender away, asks who he killed. And Avery asks who he killed. And Raylan says Calhoun, because they think that Avery was the one that did this, which I can understand why they thought that. I mean, Avery's the main threat right now, and they think that Avery's the one that did it. I can understand that. Avery says he's his realtor, and this is the first he's heard of it. He has no idea what they're talking about, and Raylan asks about Choo-Choo. So Ty says he's out, and Seabass says he's not hiding from them. Raylan says Avery went wrong by hiding mercs who know killing but not crime. He lays down his card and says to call when Choo-Choo shows up, and Tim says to keep that card in his pocket so if he shows up in a shallow grave, they'll know who to call. So they leave, and Avery tells Ty and Seabass that they have something to tell him, and Choo-Choo meets Caprice, and she asks why they call him Choo-Choo. And he says he's not really sure. I love that he says that, but we know why, of course, because of the single punch thing. And I like that I think the reason he didn't tell her was because, of course, he killed her, the guy she was having sex with, so she gets in the car. She says she doesn't meet her new guys at her place, and he says she's pretty and clean and doesn't look like she'd work the street. He says the good thing about people thinking he's dumb is he gets the benefit of the doubt, and she asks why people would think he's dumb, and says she likes that he takes his time when he talks, like he wants the other person to understand. And Choo-Choo asks if she ever wishes things that weren't like they are. And he says, close your eyes and you wish things would be different. This is the most focus we get on Choo-Choo the season so far. This is the most focus we've gotten on his character, and we really get to learn a lot more about his character, which I really like seeing. So Zachariah tells Boyd to take the lead than him and the other guys, and he tells them there's nothing to be scared of. Boyd goes down in the tunnel. Now remember, Boyd, Zachariah, and Raylan used to work in the mine and everything, so Boyd's kind of worried about what's going to happen here because, of course, what happened with Ava's father. They're all kind of worried, and I thought this was really well done. So Boyd goes down the tunnel, and then Zachariah, he tells them to call the rescue number and a lawyer if anything happens. Zachariah cranks up the generator, and the lights come on. He tells Carl to put the gun up before he blows them all up, and Pig says Carl doesn't like snakes, and Zachariah says we'll burn them all up. Boyd gives Carl a knife and says he can use it on a rattlesnake bear or Chupacabra, I think that's how you pronounce it. They come up on, and Rachel finds Art at the office. And it was cool to see Art again. I like that we don't see Art a lot, but when we do see Art, it's very important. So I definitely like the way they're using Art this season. So Rachel finds Art at the office, says that's who's in her parking spot. He says he got her permission to drive, so he's celebrating but came to get her to take on something. He asks about the Hal task force, and she says it was one of her first cases, and he asks who the snitch on the case was, and Rachel says it was on wiretaps, and they never got Katherine because she didn't talk on the phone. So Art says Poole hinted that it was an inside man, and she asks if he's going to be one of those golden year cops obsessed with an old case, and he asks if it could have been Avery. And she says that would make sense and says he's hooking up with Katherine back then and now, and she says she thinks Ava tried to run yesterday. And she says movement on their phones indicate that Ava tried to run and Raylan brought her back, and Art says, what a dumbass. He tells her to bring Raylan in and confirm what her gut is telling her. And Rachel says that means she'll have to pull Raylan and will lose Ava as a CI, and they would start the case over from scratch. And She asks if that's what he'd do, and she says he wouldn't risk the case to save his own ass, and basically they're kind of going through a big struggle there. Should we actually, stop using Ava because they don't know if Ava's really the right person to use? Which I'd have to agree that Ava might not be the best person to use because, I mean, she hasn't really done anything for them. They haven't got much progress or anything. So Ava might not be the best person to use. I do have to agree with that. So Ava calls Raylan, and actually no, Raylan says Markham is either a good actor or didn't know what his boys did to Calhoun. They lurk outside the pizza place, and Raylan says wonderful things happen when you when you sow seeds of distrust in a garden of assholes. And Ava calls Raylan and says she's got Earl sitting on her, and she says Zachariah came over and Boyd has him working on something. Raylan says no phone calls with someone that close, but thanks her. And Tim says Ava seems back on track and asks how Raylan managed that. He says he's not trying to think how she did it, and they're kind of confused about what's going on there. So Catherine tells Wynn about the proposal. Mikey fixes a drink, and Wynn says Avery did a number on her. He asks if she was the snitch, and she says, "Of course not." Wynn says Avery asked if she was if it was her to throw her off his trail, and Wynn says Avery has been in the game a long time. Catherine says that doesn't mean he's not a rat, and Wynn offers to dig in and try to find out if it was Avery, and Wynn says either way they have to kill him, and Catherine says if he's playing her, she has to kill him slow. So Avery says Walker has to take care of Choo-Choo, and he says he won't give them up, but Avery says he wouldn't mean to. Walker says they were in the sandbox scare when he was there with Choo-Choo's Humvee hit the IED. He says no one should have survived it. He says they were picking splinters of the driver's bones out of his face. Avery talks about punji sticks in the Vietnam War, and he says the con used to cover their sticks in human shit to infect the wounds. And Avery says one guy decided to just shoot himself in the mouth so that no one else would die trying to carry him back. And Avery says real leadership is about hard choices. So Walker's phone is ringing. He asks Choo-Choo for a sit rep. He says he's thinking there's another way, and Walker asks what that means. Choo-Choo says the girl told him she won't burn them, and he says he knows how it sounds, and he has Caprice with him tied up, and Walker says he should talk in person and asks where he is. They look outside the pizza place. Raylan says wonderful things happen when you sow seeds of distrust in a garden of assholes. Ava calls Raylan and says, "Oh, I just read this. Sorry, guys. This somehow repeated. Okay, where was I? Okay, so basically, Earl's listening to thrash metal on his headphones, and when Ava comes down, he asks if the music is too loud. She says, "Not if you care about his hearing." She asks why he's not wearing earbuds, and he says he doesn't like things in his ear canals. He mams her, and she asks how old he thinks she is. He says he knows how old she is because Carl went to school with her and said she was the prettiest girl in the world. She asks how he got guard duty. So you can definitely tell that he liked her in high school, and now she's older, and he's not as old as her. I kind of like this bonding between them. I don't think they're gonna get together, but like I definitely see chemistry between them. But I don't want them together. But at the same time, you kind of feel bad for Earl. He likes her, and he didn't get to be with her. But she kind of seems like she likes him. I have to say that. It seems like she likes him. And she enjoys his flirting, definitely. So she says she figured Carl would have volunteered, and Earl says he's no good in a mine. Then she asks him to remind him the name of the mine they're down, and he tells her. She plays it cool, and Zachariah and Boyd come to something, and then they take a break. He asks Boyd if he's alright, and he says it's been a while since he's been down that deep. Boyd asks if he really loves being down in a hole, and Zachariah says the only place he's really happy. So Boyd goes to get an oil can, falls down to the hole. He's pinned by a board, so he didn't fall the whole way down. I knew Boyd wasn't going to die or something, but I thought something bad was going to happen to Boyd there. Zachariah tells him not to move or breathe deep, and he crawls over with a rope to tie him and reach for Boyd, but says not to reach him. Zachariah grabs him, just the wood under him starts to break away. He pulls Boyd back up. Pig asks if he's alright. Boyd says he is. Zachariah says they need to take a break, but Boyd says they're on a schedule, and they insist that Boyd get some sun on his face while they keep working. He agrees and says one near-death experience a day is enough. He walks out, and Zachariah tells the other guys welcome to the dance. Walker and Seabass meet Choo-Choo, who's in the woods, and he has Caprice tied to a tree. And Walker asks if he's come to her senses. Choo-Choo says she shouldn't pay for his mistake, and Tim and Raylan are there and tell the guys to put their hands up. And this scene is insane. Walker says he didn't hear a car. Raylan says Avery told him to put down Choo-Choo since he's a liability. Walker says they're lying. Tim tells Choo-Choo he knows they're not. Walker says they can take out Tim and Raylan. They won't back down, so it comes to a shootout with this awesome shootout. One of the things I love about Justified is that we don't get many shootouts, so when there is a shootout on the show, it's always awesome, and this was awesome to see. Choo-Choo gets shot a couple of times, Walker gets shot. Both Choo-Choo and Walker get away, though, so neither of them died. Kind of surprised, but I thought Walker was gonna die, because I mean, a couple episodes ago I thought Walker was gonna die, and I thought he was gonna be the first to die, but we'll get to that. Zachariah asks Pig if he's been to mine before and says he can tell he has. Pig drops a rock down the hole. Boyd almost fell down. The rock drops and drops, and he says it's a long way down. He calls Zachariah over, says it doesn't look like rot. It looks like the boards were cut away. Zachariah says he's got a good eye, knocks him down the hole, uses the radio to call Carl, and sound all upset. So Pig is dead. He just pushed him down a mine. Like, Zachariah's crazy. But he did that to save Boyd, obviously. So Tim and Raylan tell Rachel what went down. Tim says Caprice can place Seabass and Choo-Choo at Calhoun's right before he died. And Rachel says she has extra help on the way. She says they're all looking for Walker and Choo-Choo. And Rachel tells Tim to get his rifle out and get ready. Rachel asks Raylan about Ava, and he says he heard from her today and it's all good. Choo-Choo is bleeding, and here's sirens. And a lot of people predicted this, how Choo-Choo was going to die. I thought it was kind of ridiculous, but honestly, it makes sense with his character. Of course, he pulls up to train tracks, and of course his name is Choo-Choo, and he's going near a train. Parks on the rails, waits for a train to come, and at this point, he just wants to kill himself. He does. He wants to die. He doesn't really want to be involved anymore. Closes his eyes, but it stops just shy of his door. Engineer gets out, and Choo-Choo's dead behind the wheel. He literally died while he was trying to kill himself. So I thought that was kind of funny, but still sad to see Choo-Choo go. Choo-Choo, I didn't think would be the first guy to die, but I thought Walker would, but it makes sense because Choo-Choo really was a dumbass. So Boyd comes home, finds Ava listening to Earl's music. Boyd says this is better than when he came home to last night, and this ending was just amazing because we have this really cute scene between Boyd and Ava, and then it's ruined. She says she didn't expect so soon, or she would have already cooked. She asks how it went with Zachariah, but he has to take a call. He doesn't get to tell her how it went. And it's Limehouse, and he tells Boyd not to say his name. Boyd asks what he wants, and he says he's offering something, information. And I'm just like, oh no, what is he going to tell him? Boyd asks how much he wants for it, but Limehouse says it's free and wants to see him as a good faith gesture to mark a new and beautiful friendship. Boyd says she doesn't know what he needs to know from him. Limehouse said it's something he doesn't even know, and he doesn't know. Limehouse asked Ava told him what she got up to yesterday, and when he said that, I'm like, oh shit, he is gonna tell Boyd that Ava is working for Raylan, and it's not gonna look happy. He sees Ava slicing veggies, and Boyd does not look happy. So my question is, did Limehouse actually tell him on the phone? Did he hang up on Ava? What's gonna happen there? That whole thing there is going to be insane. Because Limehouse is going to be the one that tells Boyd, which makes sense. Because, I mean, Limehouse has always been the most loyal to Boyd. And out of all the people that Ava's talked to, yeah, of course Limehouse would tell Boyd. I mean, they have a pact. They've always been loyal to each other. My thing is, though, what is Limehouse going to tell him? Is he going to tell him that Ava's working with Raylan? Or is he going to tell him that he saw Ava and Raylan kiss? If that's what it is, I think that's going to be kind of dumb. I hope it's that he knows he's going to tell him that Ava is the CI. Because that's something that Boyd needs to know. And when Boyd finds out, as I said, their relationship is going to fall apart completely. But it's something that Boyd does need to know, and something that is going to benefit him. Well, not really benefit Boyd, but something that he definitely needs to know. As far as Raylan goes and Rachel, is Rachel going to help tell Raylan what Art said, basically? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Because, of course, Rachel is considering possibly just starting over the whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to see if that really does happen. Caprice. Choo-Choo was supposed to kidnap Caprice. What is Walker gonna do now that Choo-Choo's dead? Is he gonna do something with Caprice? What's gonna happen there? We'll have to see what happens there. That's gonna be interesting to see. I don't know if Walker knows that Choo-Choo's dead, so what's gonna happen with Walker? I don't know. Walker's all on his own now. He has Seabass, but that's it. Avery. Is Katherine going to accept Avery's proposal? I don't know what's gonna happen there. I like seeing Avery propose to her. He seems like a nice guy, but I don't know if Katherine really wants to get married to Avery right now. So I have to see what happens there. That definitely is very interesting, and I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen as far as that goes. Everyone talk about Earl and Ava. I really do like Earl. I think he's a great guy for Ava, but definitely he's too young for her. And when Ava finds out what Boyd knows, this whole thing is just gonna come crashing down. What's so sad about it is that was such a cute scene between Boyd and Ava, and then Boyd gets the call, and now he's gonna find out. It's time for him to find out. I think for a while he didn't need to know, but now it's time. I mean, we're approaching episode 7. We only have a few episodes left, so it's time for him to find out. And I like how slow pace this has been, because it's definitely, the payoff is going to be much more well done, and Boyd's going to be a lot more damaged by finding out this way, definitely. Especially since he's not going to find out from Ava, he's going to find out from Limehouse. I think that is amazing writing right there. I love that. Boyd obviously was saved by Zachariah. Do you think that, I mean, Zachariah, do you think Zachariah knows what's going on? I don't know. Is Zachariah going to find out? Was Boyd going to get, how is Zachariah going to react to this? I don't know if Zachariah knows exactly what's going on. I kind of feel like he does, though. I don't know why. I just feel like he does. There's a part of me that knows he does. So as I said, I don't know what's going to happen with Katherine, if she's going to, I mean, that's going to be interesting. I mean, again, she's not sure if Avery's playing her. She's not sure if he really is working with her. So she might kill him, and that's going to be interesting to see. So maybe her and Win will get married, possibly. I could definitely see that being I see Win ending up happy in this show, definitely. I see him getting a happy ending, so I kind of feel like they're just going to get married, because that just seems like something that would happen to them. I think that's really it, guys. Overall, guys, best episode of the season. Absolutely loved it. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. I thought this was, as I said, best episode of the season. We had 2 deaths, nothing that big, but we are getting a huge reveal next week. Definitely, Boyd is in for a shock when he finds out what Ava is really doing. But I'll see you guys in my next video. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. I'll see you guys in my next video, which, guys, I am going to watch the Power Rangers short film, and that will be my next video. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.